Hi all, I thought I would do a really quick video on decorating the first album in my Heidi Swapp Chapters collection 8x10 album, which is what I'm using for this year's October daily. And I'm probably going to do 2 inserts inside the album. So I'm going to decorate the first one with the Paige Evans Tricks and Treats collection. This is one of the papers from that collection. It's so cute. So I'm just going to cut it down to the size of the notebook. Again, this is an 8x10 album. So this is a lot bigger than a 6x8, but it's also kind of a traveler's notebook style, which I love. I love traveler's notebooks. That's one of my favorite things to do, but it's definitely not big enough for an October daily or a December daily. I have done them in that size, but I do find them a little small because I take a lot of photos. So I thought I would give this one a try because it's kind of a traveler's notebook style, but it's a lot bigger size. And I have to say, I'm done a couple layouts already in it, and I am absolutely loving this side. I'm thinking maybe I'll even do it for December daily. We'll see. It is a lot bigger, so it takes a lot more product to fill because you basically need a 12x12 piece of pattern paper for each page inside. The 6x8s won't work. If you use a 6x8 album, then the 6x8 paper pads fill that page, but unfortunately for this size of an album, you would definitely need a lot bigger of a piece of paper. So I'm just cutting it down to the height of this album, and then you'll see it'll be a little bit short. Again, I'm just using Sukbang tape here. This is what I use for pretty much all my projects. It's my favorite go-to glue because I can just rip it. I don't need scissors. And nothing that has fallen apart that I've used this with. So I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a good tape, especially for the cover of an album or something. So you'll see this sheet is a little bit short to go around the whole book, but I'm just going to take that little piece of paper on the left there that's cut off from when I trimmed it, and I'm just going to add that piece to the back of the album, and that way it'll cover the remainder of the album. So I don't normally do videos on YouTube. Most of my stuff I share through Instagram, but I have been posting all my Instagram reels this year on YouTube as shorts, so you can check those out in my October daily playlist, and I will be adding this one. I don't normally do videos like this, which are more long form videos, because they take a lot of work, a lot of editing, and I just don't have the time to do a lot of videos like this. But I did happen to record myself putting this album together, so I thought I would just turn it into a YouTube video really quickly. So here I am just adding that extra piece of paper, and then of course there's a little bit of a gap there, so I'm just going to fill that. You can put maybe some trim or another piece of pattern paper. You can fill that blank space. Like I said, these albums are quite a bit bigger than like a 6x8 size, so it takes a full piece of pattern paper to cover them. And I'm also just kind of trimming the rounded edges here just because the book comes that way. So I'm just going to take those corners and just round them with my scissors. So the first thing I do when I get a new collection is I pull everything out of the die cut packs and I put them in little containers, just so it makes it easier for me to go through the packs and see what I have available to use. So here I am, I'm kind of just looking through all the die cuts to see what I might use as the cover of my first album. So this will be like the first half of October. So there's some frames and some really cute die cuts. This collection by Paige Evans called Tricks and Treats is really, really cute, and I am so sad that I didn't buy more paper because I have run out after doing a few pages. So I definitely wish I would have bought more. It's really usable, and the colors are great, the images are great. It's just a great little collection. And I've been really happy with the layouts I've managed to make so far. So here I am just pulling out stuff that I think I might use and going through the die cut packs so that I can see what's there and figure out what kind of cover I'd like to do for this first book. So I really like the frames that come in this collection, the die cut frames. So you'll see me pull them out here. And my first thought was just to kind of layer all the frames together. and just create like this kind of mixed kind of frame look on the front. But I ended up not liking that, and you'll see here I'm just kind of pulling out all the frames to see if that's something that I can accomplish. But I end up not liking that, but I do end up going with the florals, which florals are one of my favorite things to work with. I love a collection that has some good florals, and this collection actually has some really pretty flowers. So I end up going with more of a frame with florals around it. But this would have definitely worked too. You could have filled those frames with pattern paper. You could have filled them with die cuts. You could have filled them with titles. But I just was not liking the way it looked on that pattern paper in the background. I think if I had chosen a different pattern paper, it may have worked. But it's just the paper in the background was really busy. So I just found that the frames didn't work. So here I am kind of trying to figure out what I want to do, and I pick one of the frames and then I start laying out some flowers, and that almost always works for me, is using the florals. So first I thought, oh, okay, I can just kind of like wrap it around all the frame, like the whole frame. I can put it along the bottom. Here I am, I'm trying just putting it all the way around the whole frame, which ends up being a little bit too busy, I think. So I end up not doing that. But this is how, for me anyway, it works, is I play around for a long time, usually 20 minutes to a half an hour, with all the stuff that I think I want to use, until I kind of figure out the way I want to go, and then I glue it all down. So I've kind of started from scratch again. Here I am adding a couple of the kind of haunted houses from the die cut pack, and I'm trying to figure out what title I can use as well. So I've got the florals kind of just going along the bottom there, and I know I want to use the Halloween word, but I didn't like the Happy Halloween, so I'm just going to use the Halloween word there, and I'm going to try and find something that works. You can see none of them really work directly on that busy background paper, but they seem to work on the floral okay. So that's where I'm going to end up putting my titles, is along the floral there, and that Spooktacular ends up looking really good on the florals there. I end up losing the S somewhere. I still haven't found it. So I'm going to have to find an S from another collection, or something else to put back on there. But they are not really sticky, these words that came with the Paige Evans collection. So you definitely will need to add more glue onto the back. I definitely had to add some wet glue onto these to stick them onto the paper. I actually might even go back and sew them on just to make sure that they don't come apart. But that's one thing you might want to just watch out for when you're adding these words to your albums, is add some extra glue. So you can see here I've got two of the houses. I'm trying to find a third. I always prefer to do things in odd numbers for some reason. That's just what I prefer. So I'm trying to find a third house, but there isn't one that isn't identical to the two that are on there. So the one on the foam package looks like one of the ones that's already in the die cut pack, so I didn't want to duplicate it. So now I'm trying to find something else to kind of fit in the middle, and of course, I have a theme, I have an idea, and I just can't seem to make it work. I can't find another haunted house to go in there, so I'm just trying to see if I can find maybe a tag, or just an icon or something like that that would work with these houses. So I thought that I would add a little bit of a darker paper behind this middle cluster here. I did find that black fence, which I thought I could use to kind of fill in some of the space. And I definitely like the way that the houses and the flowers pop from the black more than against that kind of gray pattern paper. So I definitely will be using this star paper in the back. I end up cutting it down a little bit more just because I thought maybe that piece was a little too big. But I do end up using that, and I'm just pulling out here the puffy stickers, which, look at those, they're so adorable. This whole collection is adorable, but the puffy stickers especially, very cute. So I pulled out the little ghost and a bat, just to add a few more little details on there, just because they're the right size to go with those die cut houses. And you can see here, I'm thinking, is that a little bit too big? And because I only have the 2 houses, I feel like it is. So I'm going to trim that down just a little bit, and I'll bring it back, and you'll see me kind of play around a little bit more, trying to figure out which direction I want this to go. And I'm just using my scissors, running along the edge so that I can rough it up a little bit to make it a little bit more textured, and it'll stand out a little bit better, I think, against that gray background. So I think I've got the size down that I like for the black paper, and now I'm going to actually start gluing things down. It's one of the last things I do. I always wait till the very end to glue things down because I want to make sure I like the way it looks and all of that. So I'm going to also, one of the things I love to do with die cuts is to give them more dimension by just running my thumbnail, you'll see here, along the outside edges and folding up the leaves so they look like they're kind of a little bit textured, a little bit more interesting. They'll give off a little bit more shadow, which also helps with depth in your layouts. And I do that with almost all the die cuts that I put down. I don't like to leave them flat. I like to give them that extra dimension. And to do that, you could run scissors around the outside, but I just take my nail and kind of fold up the edges and just give them that extra little dimension. You could add foam tape if you wanted to, like I am doing here, which will also make it pop off the page a little bit. I'm going to glue the side ones down directly to the paper, and then I'm going to use foam tape on the middle one so that it pops up a little bit. So again, I'm going to peel off these letter stickers and stick them on, and they do not stick very well at all. I normally start just so I can center the lettering with the middle letter, and that way it kind of gives me the better placement for how I'm going to put them down. So I usually start with the middle letter and then work my way left and right to spell out the word. And so here I'm going to be using Spooktacular Halloween for my title. And I will definitely have to go back. You'll see some of them will probably fall off. And I'll go back and put some extra glue on these because they do end up falling off quite a bit. They're not sticky at all. Like I said, the S for some reason fell off and I can't find it anywhere. So I will have to either find an S from another collection or steal an S from the word spooky. I think there's another title that says spooky or something like that I could steal the S from, but I'd like to be able to use that spooky word as well. But yeah, so just make sure when you're using your product, especially things like this, which is like a plastic, they really don't, you can see there, like it literally just popped right up. So here I am just putting a little bit of wet glue onto these letters just to make sure, because this is the cover of the book, it's gonna probably get a lot more roughed up than say an inside page. You want to make sure that those letters are stuck down really well. So the last little piece I'm going to add is just a little piece that looks like a fence just to this house here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on there and add that into the little cluster of flowers. And then this notebook cover is finished. So this will be part 1. It does have enough pages if I wanted to do it all in one book. But I think because I'm going to be adding a lot of paper that it will get too bulky and it won't look good. So I want to use 2 notebooks and I'll just be sticking some pages together so it doesn't add too much bulk. And you can see here I am adding it to my Heidi Swapp album. It works kind of like a traveler's notebook, but it has metal spikes instead of the elastics. And I also wanted to add my Halloween dangle charm that I got. It's so cute and it matches this collection perfectly and it matches my album perfectly. But because this isn't a regular album, I had nothing to attach it to, so I had to kind of figure out how to attach this onto my album. So I'm just going to use some gold thread and I'm going to tie it around the metal there. So you can see there's one of the metal little prongs that hold the albums in. And I'm just going to tie it around one of the little metal album prongs here and then tie the charm onto that so that it will hang off my album. So I'm just going through all the kind of die cuts and stuff. I really want to use the embroidered ghost. So you can see here I've got him on there. I'm just trying to see if he'll work on the cover of this album, and I think he'll be really cute on there. This is from the embroidery pack of the Tricks and Treats collection. So basically you get, I think there's 6 different die cuts, and then they have holes already in them, and there's embroidery floss, and you can embroider these, which gives them great color and texture. And I love sewing on my layouts and stuff, so I really love these embroidered things that Paige puts in her kits. So I'm going to go through again the die cuts, and I'm just kind of picking out something that I can add to cover up that love life at the top, and just kind of make something to go. I want the ghost kind of in the center of the album, so I'm just kind of trying to make stuff that goes up and down to cover that word and just to make it more balanced. I really love those vellum leaves coming out of the ghost, so I'm going to leave those there. And then I'm just going to go through and kind of pick which one of these die cuts that I like the best. I end up using, I think, 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom, just to kind of even it out. So now that I kind of have an idea of how I want this cover to be laid out, I'm going to actually stitch my ghost. So like I said, with the embroidery pack, you get the thread as well as the pieces. They're kind of like a thicker paper chipboard, not quite chipboard, but they are a lot stronger than regular paper, and they have holes in them already done for you. And you basically just take the thread, there's needles in there as well, and you just take the thread and you sew. You can do a back stitch, you can do French knots in the center of the flowers if you wanted to do that. She does, I think Paige Evans put out a video kind of showing herself stitching these if you wanted to go watch that. She does it much better than I do. So I'm just going to use a back stitch for these little flowers on here with some orange thread. And I really love these embroidery kits that Paige puts out, because I used to do embroidery before paper crafts came into my life. So I love embroidering. It's another one of my crafty passions. So this kind of brings the best of both worlds together for me, doing the paper crafting as well as doing just a little bit of embroidery. These actually do take quite some time. So if embroidery is not your thing, then I wouldn't get them. But I love just sitting there and doing, I'm not going to do the whole thing on camera. I end up doing these while I'm watching TV, just so that, you know, it does take some time. Like I think this one probably took about 20 minutes to finish. So I wouldn't sit on camera and do the whole thing, but I'm just showing you here the first one that I did. You kind of just basically do a back stitch and fill in the lines with the holes that are already in there. She makes it super easy. Even if you don't know how to embroider anything, you could get these done, no problem. And like I said, it just takes a little bit of time. So if you're patient and you have time to do something like this, do them in front of TV while you're watching TV, and they are definitely well worth it. This turns out so cute in the end. Okay, so here I am. It's all finished. You can see how messy the back was there, but that's what it looks like. The eyes were done. The eyes and the mouth were done with black, and then I did orange little stars on the ghost. See how this goes? Because it's a fabric album, I'm thinking I might go back in and add some fabric glue after this, because this album is fabric. And I want to make sure that it's going to actually stick down and not come off this album. So I might go back in. The sequin tape should work, but I might go back in with some fabric glue and just to be sure, add some. But I love how this turned out. It's so cute. So there's the front, and you can see there, that's what the album looks like inside. So I definitely will be using probably 2 notebooks for my October daily. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you've been enjoying my quicker shorts for the daily October layouts that I've been doing in this book. The Halloween album. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're having a wonderful October. See you soon. Bye.